Oh, welcome back, friends. Today I am so excited I get to show you this garden that we've been working on here in the community. It's a school and neighborhood garden project, and we've been working on it for like a year and a half. So it's not done yet, but what garden's ever fully done? I mean, someone's gonna step on something, something's gonna die, but the bones of the project are here now. So I'm gonna take you this way first, partly because you can see a bit of the sunset starting. And then, well, we'll come here first to this boulder. We got this wonderful, amazing boulder. And when it's rainy, it's kind of a wonderful greenish color, and it's got these wonderful ridges, layers in it. And so this section of the garden is where we're still definitely finishing. But you can see this really beautiful, this is gold nugget, Mullein, Verbascum, which is really looking beautiful here. This is electric blue Penstemon, and over time these will all fill out. This will get bigger. These will bush out more. This is mango Popsicle, Kniphofia, and it'll be this wonderful, like fluffy spike that's mango colored. There's some grasses in here, some of this Globemaster Allium, and down here we've got a little crop of some lavenders and some more of that mango Popsicle, Kniphofia. And this right here, this beautiful plant, we've got 5 of them through the garden. That is a blue Boa Agastache. And one thing that's so fun about that plant is, of course, it's just gorgeous. It's kind of the colors that we're trying to go for here. Lots of purples and blues and yellows and a bit of orange here and there. And of course, butterflies love it, hummingbirds love it, so it's a win on every level. We're also over here in the garden. You can see there's a little succulent garden there, and we're going to be adding to it still. And the kids are going to add some more succulents, which will be fun. We have a little section there still to do completely, but we're getting close. And then right here, this is a Chief Joseph pine tree. Pause for a second. Okay, so this little pine tree, it's actually, look, one weed, look at it right now. This is such a fun one because it turns green like this in summer, but then in fall it turns a bright chartreuse yellow for all winter, like a school bus yellow even, for winter, as the kids are here at this garden as well. So we'll show you here. All of the elementary school students here, when they're 5th graders, get to make a square, which is really fun. And as you come around the garden, we have this really fun bed here of amazingness. And I'll just show you what a few of these plants are. So, some are more common than others. This one is actually a Grevillea, Murray Valley, and it blooms in February. And so the hope is that it will attract in the hummingbirds so that the kids get to see it and the community members in February. As we come down here, we are trying to have this bed kind of be, think of it as it's being like edge. It's almost like when you put a ring on a fancy velvet pillow. Well, this is the ring right here. Literally, it is a ring, and then this kind of fun plants in the center of it are being extra highlighted. So we've got down here this little ground cover, which suddenly my brain is forgetting, but it spreads out very slowly and makes this really nice velvety, kind of tight ground cover. And then we have here, we have Shubertii allium. So look how they look like fireworks on a stick. And I thought, what more fun and more Dr. Seussian could we get than to make this kind of little arrangement that all the students and community get to enjoy. And then these ones, these big ones that look like the sky is kind of like a softball, these are Globemaster alliums. And again, they're just so bold and delightful. And we have some more things that are going to pop up in here for later in the summer. Of course, we're trying to have there be always something blooming, something new to enjoy and to look at. So now I'm going to take you down the next section of path. And there's a section that we specifically, two main sections to point out to you. One is kind of more of our miniature meadow. And then the other one, which we have planted specifically things for butterflies. And then the other section is our sensory garden. is our miniature meadow. So there's, again, the plan. We had daffodils. We have these beautiful irises right here. We have all sorts of things planned that are gonna come up and bloom. And right now what's blooming are some alliums and these wonderful big Globemaster ones. And then this pink flower here is a Checkmallow, and that is a native plant that is just delightful, and it actually attracts certain butterflies. Here is Tidy Tips. Isn't it just dainty as can be? I'm actually gonna pick one. We'll sacrifice one for this. Look how pretty that is. It just looks, it's very charming. And this is a native flower in California, but it's really climate adapted. It's a really good fit for our climate of the hot, dry summers with not much water. We will water this a little bit, especially the first 2 or 3 years to get established, but we're trying to pick things that don't need to be babied, that don't need to be watered all the time for forever. We're trying to get them deeply rooted. So here we've got some of this wonderful blue Boa Agastache, and it's going to just be this delightful, I mean, the hummingbirds, butterflies, we're hoping to bribe them to come play in this new garden. And there's some white swan echinacea that will come up. This is one of the penstemons. We've got some of the pearl, onyx and pearl, and then this one with the little nice lavender flower, and again the dark purple leaves. This is a little more of this electric blue penstemon. And then right here we have, this is a tradition that they did in the Middle Ages and have done at other points, where you use germander as a tiny miniature hedge. So we could, over time, we'll probably end up trimming it, but not yet. We want it to bush up, and it's really drought tolerant though, unlike boxwood. And the idea is to kind of give a framing to the garden. There's a ground cover on this side, which it's not really taken off. We may have to switch plans, and that happens sometimes. So we're gonna roll with it. But so that is at least a few notes about the miniature meadow. There is Jethro Tull Coreopsis in there, which will bloom later. And there's more blooms ahead. Hopefully, if you pop by later in the summer, you'll see great blooms there then too. All right, so this section of the garden, we especially wanted it to be a sensory garden. And part of what we wanted to do, and in the garden here, there's 6 or 7 of these. This is 7-Up plant. And it has these wonderful fuzzy leaves, and if you smell them, they smell like 7-Up. They really do. And it's just one of those things that I figured the kids would have so much fun with. Now, hopefully we won't have the bushes decimated by every kid picking a leaf, but I figure if we take them on a little tour, and community members, please feel free, come smell the 7-Up plant and have the treasure hunt of looking for it. It's really fuzzy. This one's really near one of the entrances to the garden, and this is the very far end near this blue bench near the flag. Little clues for you. Anyway, so the idea is over time, this grasses actually will reach out and the kids can touch these and feel them, and they're soft. They're not pokey. We wanted to make sure nothing was thorny. A big contrast from, some of you might remember this garden. Before we started this project, it used to be filled with thorns. Holly bushes, Oregon grape, roses, and now some of them were native plants, but they had just gone galloping across this space and made it really hard for the kids to even walk through the path. So we ripped all those out and we planted the new garden and built the new path. Now over here, if you look right here, you'll see this beautiful Salvia Cardonna, and I mean, I'm just in love with that one. Look at those dark branches. Even when it's not blooming, it's gorgeous. And then here is another allium. This one's another really fun one. This is Allium Gladiator, and we're going to try to plant a few more. The idea was to have a little clump of it here, but they didn't all make it this year. And then we have a couple poppies in there. This right here is a little poppy, and it'll have a white bloom, and then it'll have a nice seed pod, and again, the seed pod should rattle in the wind. So we're trying to get sight, sound, smell. Of course, there's color. And then if you look over here, we're also trying to invite you to just notice like these tiny things. Like, look at this just wonderful little sea thrift. It's just a delightful little tiny plant, and we've got lots of different ground covers in the garden. And we've got, of course, here a little bit more allium, this wonderful big grass, which this one took off. It's amazing. We didn't expect it to get this big for 5 years, this one, but it just loves this spot apparently. So the point was also to make sure there was no flowers hitting anyone as they walk down the path, but grass is okay. And over here, a bunch more blooms. We're leaving these little California poppies from now because they're very fun. And then, so if you don't know, yeah, these little orange ones are California poppies. And they're very eager at spreading. But they also are really delightful. So it's always the balancing act. All right, and if you turn your attention low here, you will see a couple really fun things. These 3 little kind of fluffy looking, this is actually moon carrot. The official name is Sesseli Gummiferum, moon carrot, a freakishly good plant, is what they say here. But it likes drier conditions. This one's from Far Reaches Farm, and we are so thrilled that we could both support their mission and make some magic happen for our garden. Now I can't get the tag back in. I'll work on that later. This one is Globularia Yellow Moon. And it's supposed to be this really tight ground cover with these really fun kind of pom-pom yellow flowers. So I didn't explain, sorry, moon carrot. It will get to have a really big flower by the end of summer. 6 to 10 inches across. I mean, it can be a really big umbel shape. So think Queen Anne's lace, but not invasive and gonna spread everywhere. Okay, and so right over here, again, we've got some more just super delightful ground covers. We had crocuses here. And then this is a manzanita. We've got 2 different kinds along here. And part of why we picked manzanita is they're really drought tolerant. They're a small tree eventually. They'll get to be 6, 8, maybe 10 feet tall. And they can take a little bit of pruning to make sure that they stay manageable. But they have this fantastic bark. Maybe you can see a little bit on this one. The color, this one looks, maybe in this light, looks like it's more brownish. The sentinel one we have down the path a little more. You might be able to notice has a more mahogany color. And right here, this is a super fun plant. This is a bush mint. And if you take your hand and rub across it, you will be amazed. It smells so good. Yep. Alpine bush mint. So those are just a few of our plant treasures, and there are more. We're hoping to make some signs too, so you can find out what the plants are. You could always take a picture of something and email me, and we hope that you can come enjoy the garden. Please make yourself at home. And of course, you know, don't pick the flowers, don't stomp on things, but accidents happen. We get that. There's also this lovely bench down here. Our kind of hope is that people would come, you know, sit on the benches, enjoy the sunset, watch as everything changes every night. And there's that nice rock now to sit on. And all the way down there you can see that little dogwood tree is happily blooming, like tons of blooms this year. It didn't really bloom much last year. And we are very delighted that this big change has been able to happen. At the very beginning of the project, we had 250 volunteer hours just ripping out the old bushes, and we've had hundreds of volunteer hours since then of people digging and planting and dreaming up what this garden would be. The 5th graders did this big project before the pandemic, just kind of dreaming up what the garden could be. There was lots of hopes for apple trees and fountains and topiaries and some things that were a little bit beyond the scope of what we could make happen. But it's still really exciting to see what has happened, and we think it's really going to serve the community well and the school well. And it's certainly, we're trying to focus on a lot of things too that will bloom while the students are here. And again, the things that bloom in winter to attract the hummingbirds. So Feel free to ask any questions, and hopefully you enjoyed getting a sneak peek at the garden. Bye everyone.